taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. Make sure you get the SportsGrid app on iOS or Android in the Play Store. It's free. You're going to love it. You can watch the network on the app. You can listen to the network, follow your favorite hosts like Carver High, and it's got in-game odds, everything, video, stories, highlights. It's all on the SportsGrid app. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Did you know we're streaming on X? That's right. Just go to SportsGrid-Live, and you can watch us streaming on X 7 days a week. 365. It's pretty cool. Check it out. And you can also get the Ferrall Coast to Coast and Ferrall on the Bench podcast, 2 separate podcasts, the full 3-hour C2C, and then a Ferrall on the Bench podcast, a daily look at sports, what happened, what's going to happen on iTunes. All of those podcasts, both of them on iTunes or wherever you download podcasts. And a programming note, don't forget, next week, all week long from February 3rd, Monday, through the 7th, we will be broadcasting live from New Orleans at Bourbon Street at the Media Row for the Super Bowl. SportsGrid in New Orleans, in the Bayou, all next week live. Catch us on C2C from the Eagles-Chiefs party. You know it's going down next week on SportsGrid. And tune in 3 to 6 Eastern, and we'll be live there 2 to 5 Central Time.
There you go. Let's finish off all of this. Finally, in Vegas, Pete Carroll was introduced. You have said it a bunch of times. He will be 74 when the season kicks off next September. So, Pete, how about being the oldest coach in the league?
I've not been one step away from what we're doing and at any time and what we're up against here. I'm just so grateful that have been given the opportunity to do this again and define it. Because to me, it's the very next step that we get to take that fires me up. It's the very next challenge. It's coming back, or it's overcoming, or it's celebrating the success that you just had in making yourself come back to basics and continue to be uncommonly consistent that drives me, So, the stuff that you guys have heard, about Pete and having fun, like you mentioned about throwing the ball around, all that, that's part of it. That's part of it. But it's about the competing and proving that you have value and you have worth and you can add to it. I don't care how old you are. And for anybody out there that's old and wants to know how you do it, you freaking battle every day and you compete and you find your way to get better. And everybody needs to be coached up, and that's what's been happening for me. And I would like to extend that thought to anybody that wants to hear it, because we can get better and we can do more things that are of value, and we can love our families more and our people around us. I mean, all of that stuff. So obviously I'm freaking jacked up. So
I mean, what has happened here?
He's pumped. Guy's ready to run through a wall. He's ready. Pete Carroll wants to.
I know a lot of people that want to run through walls until they get hit.
Yeah, when you hit him, it's not fun. Walls hurt sometimes.
I don't deny his ability or success and his name and his history and everything that he's accomplished. I don't deny any of it. He's had a brilliant career, and I'll believe it when I see it. I heard today, Gabe said they're going to be in the playoffs in 3 years. Well, he's got a 3-year deal. So if he wins in 3 years, he gets a 4th year. We'll see. He'd be 80 years old. Now, I've already expressed 1,000 times, I'm just not hiring 74-year-old guys to be my head coach. It's not happening on my watch. I'm sorry. Like, at some point, he should have had Social Security checks for 9 years already. I mean, honest to Christ. Like, what is happening here? I just don't. Does this happen anywhere? Does it happen in the Premier League? Does it happen in, I guess it happens in baseball. There are old baseball managers. There's none of it in hockey. There's none of it in the NBA. They hire guys that are 30 to 40 years old. If you hire a guy 50, you get crucified in the NBA. I mean, 74 years old. And he says he relates to players. You know what? let me tell you something about. Here's the deal. So I play with guys that are half my age, and like I'm cool and everything, but let's not kid ourselves. They're 30, I'm 60. There's no one relating to anyone. He relates to 22-year-olds. Shut the F up. There's no 22, 23-year-old in the world listening to some 74-year-old unless it's their grandma. Honestly, it's your grandma and grandpa. There's no young kids listening to old people. The kids lie to their parents now, and their parents are 30 years older than them. Christ almighty, this guy's 56 years older than them. They don't listen to Grandpa Jones. They never will. Trust me. I know. It's certain. Like, you don't listen to your dad anymore, Mike? You gonna listen to your grandpa? Give you advice? Stop. Grandpa's gonna tell me what to do every day? Shut up. I'm going to be out in the back smoking a bone. I'm not listening to that old man. Stop it. Just stop. It doesn't happen.
One last thing from this. Carroll was paid a visit during the press conference by his former running back
by
in
Father
Seattle.
Time.
The great Marshawn Lynch made his presence felt at the press conference yesterday. Here we go.
Fans come from. We do want to fill our stadium up with our guys. I know that we have a good draw for people from out of town. There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
That was Lynch. Let me tell you something about this guy, just so we're clear. So I'm at the fights in Vegas. I see him all the time. He sits in my row. I'm sitting there front row at the fights. He doesn't stand up, or his friends, for the national anthem. Now, anybody got a problem with that? Anybody? He just sits there and ignores it all, never stands ever for the national anthem. Okay. So Dougie Fresh is his agent. I don't care. Stand the F up when the anthem is played. Can people just do that, or are they so just goddamn stubborn and right that they don't listen to anybody? These are the same people. What do you mean, you people? These are the same people that ain't listening to some old man tell them what to do. These people don't listen to anyone. They don't listen to our president. They don't listen to the government. They don't listen to their priests. They don't listen to their wives. They don't listen to their friends. They don't listen to anybody. When you make tons of money, you just don't listen to anybody. I mean, half of these people, they talk to dogs. That's the only person they'll have a conversation with. They'll talk to the little dog. I love the dog. He's such a nice little dog. He's the best dog in the world. I'm such a good boy. Oh. But when it comes to people talking to them, they don't listen to anybody, ever. And I guarantee it. Like, I know 350 pro athletes, not one of them listens to anybody. I mean, I'm surprised they listen to me when I talk to them and I'm friends with them. Trust me, like, that guy, I put no stock in that bum-ass Marshawn Lynch. He won't stand for the anthem. He goes to these sporting events. He just sits there like some kind of thug. And you can quote me on that. Like, stand the F up, bro. Show some respect. When is the last time you went to a sporting event, Mike, you didn't stand for the national anthem? Honestly.
Me personally, it hasn't happened.
Thank you. I don't want to hear it either. All these people, don't tell me what to do. I'll sit and protest. I hate this. I hate that. Stand up for the anthem. Show some respect. Christ almighty. He's a bum. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what TV shows he does, what his clothing line is. I don't care who his friend, or he's from that crack-ass Oakland. I don't give a flying F. Stand up for the anthem. Show some respect. I've seen him do it 5 times. I'm like, look at this dude. Like, I'm sitting right next to him. I'm like, bro, stand up. What's wrong with you, fool? You fool? What's wrong with you, bro?
Carroll also said,
I'm not wrong.
Yeah. Carroll also said the Raiders will lean on Brady as much as possible in their quarterback search. So
everyone counts on Tom Brady with everything they do in life. He influences everything I do every day. I go to the mailbox and I think of Tom Brady. I really do.
Got to have Tom involved. Tom's got to be in the
Tom has to be at the center of everything, including what I eat. this guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, Scotty, he's not going to stop shooting.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, Carver High, would you hire Mike McCarthy or Kellen Moore as the Saints coach? Like, we've been hearing about Kellen Moore now for about 5 or 6 years. And before that, we were hearing about Bieniemy for about 5 or 6 years. And you saw how that turned out for Bieniemy. Of course, Moore would have the advantage being white, but no one's hired him either.
I'd probably rather have Mike McCarthy, honestly, than Kellen Moore. That's just
so
me.
would I.
I don't always think, like, I know everyone likes the next whiz kid, the next great offensive mind, young coach. I understand that. We just talked about McCarthy's obviously not as old as Carroll is. McCarthy's been in it. He's been with Dallas the last few years. You could say that he got kind of a raw deal this year. I think he kind of did. But one way or the other, that's going to be a tough job for whoever takes it. It's like the worst salary cap situation in the entire league. Who knows what they're going to do with, Carr's tough to get rid of with all that money. Not easy for the Saints, but they're the last job left open, and they flew to Philly to interview Kellen Moore last night. So that's where they stand in their coaching search.
I wouldn't have walked around the corner, flew to interview him. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
yeah.
What's happening there? Like, he can't be flown down there?
Thing with me with Moore is that he's on his third team in 3 years. He went from OC in Dallas, OC in LA, OC in Philly, year. That, if you're such the golden boy whiz kid, I don't know, why would you have 3 different jobs in 3 years? So that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm sure he'll be great, but it wouldn't be my cup of tea, that's for sure. The Ravens give offensive coordinator Todd Monken, they finalize a contract extension. Bill Belichick's son, Brian, won't return to the Patriots staff. He was on Mayo's staff in New England. I mean, this isn't hard to figure out. I mean, his dad's now coaching somewhere. He's going to go coach with his dad. Like, why are we not putting the pieces together on that one? I mean, a real crack committee to figure out why Brian Belichick's not going to be in New England next year. He's going to be in North Carolina, in Chapel Hill. That's where Brian's going to be, along with the other brother. Who's Steve? The defensive coordinator that was there.
I don't care
North
about
Carolina
his sons.
too.
I really don't.
Lots of Pro Bowl replacements, of course, for the flag football game and whatever else nonsense that they do down there this weekend. James Cook, Drake May was added as a Pro Bowl replacement, and I got another one for you that hit the wire like an hour ago.
Oh, I saw it.
Russell Wilson.
I already knew it.
Will
For
represent
Josh
the
Allen.
AFC in the Pro Bowl. But this is why it's a joke. Like, I think that May and Russell Wilson were like the 8th and 9th or 10th guys listed on the list, and they had to go all the way down to them to fill
I think
the
it's
slots.
great that the NFL has flag football leagues for kids all over the country. I think it's fantastic. The fact that they've turned the Pro Bowl into flag football is the worst decision I've seen in my life in sports. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. If anyone watches that absurdity or bets on it, there's got to be something wrong with you. Literally, you wonder why people you get divorced or what otherwise because you're betting on that. Like, I wouldn't watch it if you tied me to a chair and electrocuted me. Honestly, the Pro Bowl is a flag football game? What has happened to make that bad decision? Like, you can't even make this stuff up.
No, you can't make this stuff up. Last week I told you how, and listen, we got a long way to go before the draft. I mean, it's a long 3 months. Last week I told you how Travis Hunter was getting all the gas to be the top pick in the draft. Well, today it's Abdul Carter getting all the gas as he's been bet up to plus 180 to be the top pick. Only Cam Ward has better odds now, so they've both passed Travis Hunter to be the number 1 pick in the draft. This is going to be a fun 3 months of all of this stuff. Who's going to be the first pick?
You can have it. You can have it because, look, I don't care for literally for 1 second that now they've injected this mystery into the draft, which I don't care about either. Like, here's what I do, just so we're clear. When the Steelers draft in 7 rounds and when it's over, I look and I go, oh, okay, yeah, I've heard of him. Oh, great. Oh, he might be a decent. Okay, thank you. There you go. Now, I will not deny that I have interest in going to the draft when it's in Pittsburgh in 2026. But I've been to the NFL draft at Radio City in New York City 20 times. And it really is boring. It is like picking teeth, like picking like lettuce out of your teeth. It's so boring. I don't care about the mock draft. Like the guy, Mel Kiper, great guy, great talent. I really believe he's good at what he does. What does he have, like 70 mock drafts before the draft? Like, I want to jump in a river. I just don't care. Like, what do I care? Carter's going to be number 1. So what? You can't tell me that kid is more talented than this kid Hunter. And not only is Hunter better, he probably juggles too. He probably juggles. He can probably chew gum at the same time that he's juggling. I heard he can make a sweater out of his feet with knitting crochets. And I heard that he can play mini putt-putt with a blindfold on. Like, I don't care about any of these kids at all. Zero. At any length. Carter's going to be number 1. Well, go ahead. Take him number 1. Who cares? I mean, honestly, who cares? Who cares? No one cares. People, don't tell me, even at this network, you care. Like, there are people around here that care about this stuff? Really? I got things to care about. I can tell you that much. And that is what Carter's going to be doing. When did that start? When they lost in the bowl game again? Did it start then that he's the greatest player on earth? Stop. Just stop it. I mean, Christ, Shedeur Sanders better than him, too. So's Cam Ward. this guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It shows me how much people care around here. I'm talking about, I'm watching this Nets replay, how they melted down last night against the Kings. They were up by 15 and they got smacked by 14 and they didn't cover. And not one person on the set even reacted. Not one person even burped or blinked or looked up, or people, Mavi and Luke look like they're ready to do heroin. And I'm watching the game cover. I was like, what's the NBA? I'm watching this game and I'm trying to get did you see them melt down? And people are on our set, I swear to God, no one cares about anything except Abdul Carter, apparently. Here we go. What else you got for me?
Everybody cares about Abdul Carter.
Yeah, sure they do.
That's on everybody's
Abdul Rahim Rauf.
All right. Let's move on to College Rack, because I have a ton of games tonight that I need to get to, and I want to do a few things here. First, number 2 Duke beat NC State by 10 last night, 74-64. That means they didn't cover the 21.5, 22, depending on when you got it. So nice job there. Arizona beat number 3 Iowa State last night, 86-75, but they needed to do some work to get there. Here we go, final seconds. Caleb Love, 3/4 scored on ESPN.
I'm almost wishing he'd missed this. Okay, now watch.
Makes it.
Yep.
What do you want Iowa State to do?
Yeah, Iowa State just cannot give up the 3-point line.
Del Orso.
It's got to go down the court.
3-point game.
Too far.
Here's Love for the tie.
He's furious. That was incredible. And then they won.
Won the game. Cover.
And covered.
Big cover. We love the big cover in that one. Michigan beat Penn State 76-72. UCLA did get the win over USC 82-76 for Mick Cronin and the Bruins last night. All right. I have a lot of games to get to, so we will bypass that best and worst. We'll try to do that tomorrow. Let's go. Tons of games tonight. We'll start down in D.C. St. John's and Georgetown. Big East tips about just over an hour from now at 6:30 East. The Johnnies road favorites now 4.5 in that one. Kentucky and Tennessee both coming off losses this past weekend. Tennessee now 10.5 here. Wake Forest visiting Louisville tonight. Providence, a road favorite at the Rock against Seton Hall. And Georgia laying 7.5 at home to South Carolina.
Well, you won't believe it. I like the Hoyas and the 4.5 in D.C. Ed Cooley and company getting involved. I think Tennessee is still the buy for me against Kentucky. They got issues. I like the Vols at home. I like Louisville at the Yum. I'll lay it there as well. I think Wake looked great against Duke at home. Now they're going to the Yum. I think they're in trouble there. I think Seton Hall wins tonight at the Rock. They're going to win that game. Providence stinks. And Georgia wins at home and covers against South Carolina and Athens. Georgia coming off a 40-point bend-over beatdown in Gainesville. They're going to take it out on the Gamecocks tonight in Athens.
Next, Big Ten action. Minnesota visiting East Lansing tonight. Heavy lumber here. 14.5 now this is up to for Michigan State. UCF visiting Kansas. Of course, Kansas coming off a home loss. Now laying 12.5 against UCF. You have VCU and St. Louis. Good game tonight in the A-10. VCU favorite on the road there. Also, Dayton and St. Bonnie in the A-10. Another good game with Dayton. Now I'm up to -2.5 in that game. Also, Marquette, road favorites 8.5 into the Fieldhouse at Butler with the 147.5.
Yeah, I think Marquette will handle that at the Hinkle. I like Dayton at St. Bonnie. I like VCU at St. Louis. I think Kansas will recover from the double overtime blown game against Houston by taking it out on Central Florida at Fog Allen. And I think Minnesota will cover the number at the Breslin. It's too much wood with Garcia, how good he is, and that they're kind of riding a wave of confidence right now. The Gophers have been winning games. They've all been at Williams in Minneapolis. Let's see if they can finally, for once in their effing lives, go on the road and give someone a game in the Big Ten like Sparty in East Lansing. I'm taking a high risk with the Gophers tonight in 13.5, but I love that kid Garcia. He can flat out fill it up. This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because Scotty, he's not going to stop shooting.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, we're going to go out to Vegas and talk with our buddy Adam Hill with the Vegas Review-Journal. And we wanted to get into the Pete Carroll hire and the Knights, the way they've been playing at home in particular. Adam, good to see you. I want to get your reaction to this Pete Carroll hire, and I'm not even going to tell you what I think. So I just want to hear it from you, because you can imagine what I think. You know me now. Like, I'm not even going to tell you what I've said over and over about this hire, but I want to see what your opinion of it is from the jump.
I don't think it's the most exciting thing that's ever happened. Let's get that out of the way. I think Ben Johnson was the one that they wanted, the slam dunk, the home run guy. That was the way to go, in my opinion, that I thought would have been great. But this team needs stability. Like, Pete Carroll does bring that. I don't think anybody's going to be overly excited about it. I don't think anybody's going to think they're going to win Super Bowls right away with Pete Carroll. But I think this franchise needs credibility and stability. And if he's the guy for 2 or 3 years that can bring that and set up the next guy, I think that might be the right thing right now. I don't know. I don't know what the right move would have been necessarily, but I don't think it's the worst thing that could have happened. I think it's pretty much a dead average hire to me in my mind.
So it's like a bridge hire.
Exactly. That's my thought on it. Like, what they have right now is nothing good. There's not a good roster in place. There's not a quarterback. They're not making the playoffs. They're buried behind 3 teams that have quarterbacks and coaching combinations in place for a long time. Like, they're not going to win the Super Bowl right now. They're not going to win the division right now. But they need somebody that's going to put the thing in the right spot so that the next guy can make that move. And I think Pete Carroll can do that. Can he make the playoffs in 2 years? Maybe. I think that's probably what you want.
So do you like the Brady involvement and the spy tech hire from the business end of it?
So I'll put it this way. I think Spytek is a much better hire than Carroll is. I think Spytek is going to change the thing around here. I think he's going to change the culture. I think he's going to change the roster. I think he's really, really good at what he does. I'm more excited for the Raiders about the Spytek hire, and that's all Brady. I mean, college teammate of Brady, guy that he worked with in Tampa. Brady got him in here. And let's not forget, Brady did get them an interview with Ben Johnson. I don't think Ben Johnson was ever taking the job, but Brady got them that interview. He got them in the door, and I think that's what he's going to do for them. He's not going to be here day to day. I don't think he's moving to Vegas anytime soon. He's going to live in Florida, be with his family, call games, but he is going to be part of the big picture. And I think he was a huge part of this hire. He was a huge part of both these hires. And I think what he does is he changes the impression of what the Raiders are. I don't think Mark Davis opens as many doors as Tom Brady does, and I think that's clear in this interview process.
I think you're brilliant, and that's exactly how I saw all of it. I have a problem. I'm going to come out with it now. I have a problem with 24 to 28-year-olds listening to some 74-year-old Grandpa Jones. Like, they don't listen to guys that are 50, let alone some guy that's 74 years old. I don't care who he is. I don't listen to my grandma and grandpa. They're dead. I don't listen to my dad when I was 23. Like, I don't get it. They act like he's great with players. Like, there's no 25-year-old kid listening to some 75-year-old guy do anything, let alone cut his hair at the barbershop. I don't buy it. But I want to say this. I think that Mark has been an idiot. The only thing he's ever done well was move him to Vegas and make $6 billion. Otherwise, I think his father's been turning in his grave watching this guy make decisions since he passed. And it's one bad move after the next for the franchise. And thank God they got Brady in there with some semblance of sanity to kind of redirect the focus and decision-making away from that kid. I don't believe his son has done anything except damage the team.
Well, to your point, I think getting that money helped the team in the long run. I mean, it helps him, obviously, but it helps the team. It gives them enough money. It gives them some flexibility, some things like that. So that part was good. So I'm going to agree on that role. But I think he has seen what he doesn't know. I think that's why Brady's in here. I don't think Brady's a move that he would have made 5 years ago. I think he would have said, hey, I make the calls. I make the decisions, like we see in Dallas with another owner and his family. Never giving up any kind of control. So I do think he's kind of seen the error of his ways. Like, hey, I don't know how to do this. Maybe Tom Brady does, and that's growth from Mark Davis. So he's giving credit for that. And in terms of listening to the older guy, look, haven't you heard how much energy Pete Carroll has? And I think it's true. He does, and I'm joking about that. But as somebody said to me the other day, if you have to talk about how much energy somebody has, it means there's probably an issue there. And I think that's probably what they're dealing with at this point.
Honestly, dude, I said earlier, he should have been getting Social Security checks for 9 years.
Well, here's the thing. He's teaching. He's teaching at USC, so he's relating to the kids. He's around the students. You know, he's a young guy now.
Come on, it just can't be. Like, don't they work at Walmart, like 75-year-olds that greet people at the Walmart? Honestly, I will never accept it. People say I'm a age discriminator. Well, then I am. I am.
Guilty as charged.
I'm busted. All right. Big game tonight at the T-Mobile with the Knights and Stars. That's good hockey right there, baby.
Yeah, for sure. And the Knights, I think, are a little bit feeling better about themselves after bouncing back a little bit, getting on track. They've been through a little sluggish run, no question about it. Their worst run of the year by far. But I think what you're dealing with is a couple guys that are looking forward to playing. They had 7 guys that were going to play in the Four Nations. Now they're dropping like flies off that roster from the Golden Knights perspective. But I think guys are hitting that stretch of the season where they're looking forward to the break. They're looking forward to being off. They're looking forward to playing in that tournament. And they've got to kind of get back on track. And by the way, the goalie play just hasn't been good of late for the Knights. They kind of bounced back a little bit the other day. I think they'll maybe continue that. I think Bruce Cassidy sent the message like, hey, the break hasn't started yet. So they got this game. Then they're got another Thursday game. Then they're hitting the road for the 3 games and 1 hotel trip into New York. So they got to finish strong. And I think the message has been sent. I think they're going to bounce back a little bit before they go into that break. But certainly they're looking forward to that. And I think that's part of the slide.
So what happened? They were riding high on top of the, standings, and then Edmonton had no McDavid, and they still passed them. He came back last night, and they passed them, and they've had this, 3 wins and 10 skid. What happened to them? Because we're not over here following it like we're living there. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened? How did they fall apart a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing you look at is goaltending, and their system is designed basically to, keep everything outside. The goaltender has to make a play every once in a while, but it's protect the goalies with the system. And when you do have to make a play, you got to make that play. You're not going to have to make, 50 saves in a game and stand on your head for them to win games. You just have to make 3 or 4 saves a game that are impressive. And the rest of it, the defense is going to take care of. And the goaltending has really let them down during the stretch. I don't think there's any question about it. Cassidy said a couple times, like, hey, like, we are paying these guys. Like, we're trying to protect them a lot, but they do have to make saves, and they just weren't making those saves when they had the chance. Got a little bounce back effort in that area. I think if you watch the goaltending, if that improves, I think the team improves. But certainly, I think it's one of those stretches that you encounter, 82-game season, where you're just not seeing your best every night. And I think it's been a little bit slow for Cassidy to kind of crack the whip a little bit and say, hey, let's get to it, because he knows it's a long season and he knows his team pretty well. But I think they are starting to get to the point where they're like, all right, let's get this fixed before we go on this break.
So they lost to him in Dallas 4-3. It was a great game. Then they went home and beat the Stanley Cup champs on Sunday 4-1. What do you think this game will be like tonight compared to the game that was Friday night in Dallas?
Well, I think that was fun, as you mentioned. It was a really fun game. It was a great game to watch, very entertaining one. And I think there's going to be a lot of energy. Like I said, I think that they are looking to make sure they get the ship righted, especially before they go on this trip coming up. They've got one more game tonight and then one more game at home. Then they're on a road trip, and then they're on a break for 2 weeks. So they know they've only got a couple games. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think they allowed themselves to lose focus a little bit. But I do think this game is going to be much better. We saw that bounce-back performance. It was the goaltending, but everybody played really, really well against Florida. I think they understood the importance of that game. And I think now bouncing back after knowing they lost to Dallas last week, I think you see a really, really big effort from the Knights tonight, no question.
I got 10 seconds. Who do you like in the Super Bowl?
You can't bet against the Chiefs, man. Steve Spagnuolo is just a genius. Dude saving blitzes for 4th down plays in the 4th quarter. How can you stop that?
You're right. Adam, good to see you, man. Go get a caramel macchiato. This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty will be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York team has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Mike, other stragglers in college rack tonight.
Yeah, we have several other games that we haven't gotten to yet, especially some of the late night ones. Oklahoma takes the trip south to College Station tonight in the SEC. A&M minus 8.5 now. Baylor and BYU in Provo minus 3.5 for the Cougs. Arizona State visiting Colorado. Tad Boyle and the crew minus 3.5 for the Buffaloes, who are 9-10. They stink this year. North Carolina into Pitt. Pitt minus 2.5 tonight. And Georgia Tech visiting Notre Dame. Both teams stink, but I'll tell you this. I cannot understand how Notre Dame would lay 8.5 against anybody this year. Anybody. They should not be laying 8.5.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Jackets might be the buy there at 8.5. The game's probably going to be a good game, and they're dead even, these two teams, in where they stand, right? I'll take a shot with Pitt at the Peterson, laying 2. I got it at 2. And, Colorado has been so awful. They'll probably win tonight in Boulder. I mean, they never win. So tonight they'll probably win. They're playing Bobby Hurley's team, who's just been, frankly, in my opinion, just one failure after the next. The good game is that Baylor-BYU game in Provo. You got to have some serious onions to take Baylor, but I'm going to do it. I think Baylor can go in there and beat them. And then I still think the buy is A&M, but Oklahoma if you get it at 9, I think you got a shot. I bet the 8.5 doesn't cover. I mean, Oklahoma's like 15-4, and I know the Aggies are good, but they got 5 losses. They're at home. I think that's their edge. But is it better than 9? I think this game could be those two games, Oklahoma and the Baylor game, are the games, really the juicy games of the night, besides Kentucky and Tennessee. But with Kentucky having all kinds of problems, that game is a little less appealing to me.
And finally, some of the late night games, Mountain West and otherwise. Air Force is at Colorado State tonight. Big numbers here, 16.5 for the Rams. Cincinnati visiting Utah. Utah minus 1.5. San Jose State getting 14.5 down at San Diego State and the Aztecs. And Oregon State, remember, they beat Gonzaga in Corvallis in overtime a couple weeks ago. Tonight they head north. Gonzaga laying 15.5 against them.
I just think it's too much wood again. They beat them once. Now they're playing him there. It'll be return of serve, but by 15, I don't think so. I like San Jose State and the number against the Aztecs. I mean, San Diego State wins every game by a basket at best. They don't cover against anybody. I think Cincinnati, Utah. Now, I got to be honest. All right, Utah at home and Salt Lake laying 1. I'm okay with that. Both of these teams, to me, are really average. And then I'll take Air Force in the number. Air Force covered for me against San Diego State in that game that the Aztecs won on a rim shot at the end, coast to coast, lay it in for the win. But they were laying 14 that night. They didn't cover. Air Force is awful, but why are they in every game? They're in every game. Colorado State's 13-7. That's nothing to brag about. The game's in Fort Collins. I'd say it's tighter than 16 and a hook. I bet they beat them by 14 or 15 points.
There are other games tonight. I don't know if you have anything on the radar. There's some MAC games this evening. There's a couple other 8-10s. I mean, I think we hit pretty much anything that matters, but
I like
if
Wyoming.
there's anything else you got.
I like Wyoming at Laramie, laying the 8. I like Valpo against Southern Hill and a pick'em. Beacons at home in Valpo. I told you, I think I already did. VCU I like at the Billikens. And then, USF at home and Rice. Can they beat them by 6? Christ, they're like twins. They really are. And then I think Akron's going to beat NIU's ass, but they're getting 15 and a hook at home. Watch them cover. They will. Watch them cover. They're awful. They're 5-14. Watch them cover. And I like Ohio at home over Toledo. I like Kent over Bowling Green. I like Miami of Ohio, but I'll take Eastern Michigan in 9.5. I think the Redhawks win, but they don't cover the number. And that's it. The other one, we've already talked about it. I think the Hoyas show up tonight for Cooley and give the Johnnies problems. And Luke won't even speak to me at this point. He won't even speak to me.
Luke's not going to talk to you if you're
like
talking
St.
that way about the
John's.
Johnnies.
I do, but I think they got their hands full.
How about hockey?
Everybody loves hockey.
They do. Wings beat the Kings last night. Lucas Raymond had 4 points. Flyers beat the Devils despite the fact that the whole team was sick. Canucks beat the Blues. Oilers beat Seattle. They got a goal from McDavid as he returned from suspension. And the Sharks beat the Penguins at the tank. Crosby scored early in the third, and then Macklin Celebrini gave the Sharks the go-ahead goal, 2-1. Both teams just awful. What could you do? Penguins owners looking to sell a minority stake in the team. I mean, didn't those Fenway people just get the team a couple of years ago?
And now they're selling a piece of it. That's not a good sign at all.
Not good. Kirill Kaprizov of Minnesota is going to be out at least 4 weeks with the lower body injury. Take your pick. Spin the wheel of injuries in the NHL. Let us know what you think Kirill the Thrill has. The Caps signed goalie Logan Thompson to a 6-year extension worth $5.8 per. Of course, he won a cup in Vegas. Went to Washington this offseason, and he's played very well for the Caps.
8-year deal go out. I like a 6-year deal with a goalie. I can live with that. I'm not giving any goalie 8 years. I don't care who he is.
Let's start there. We'll throw one in and finish the rest in leftovers. Boston's in Buffalo tonight. I've actually got this as a pick'em right now, -110 both ways with a 5.5.
I like the Bruins anytime they're playing the Sabres. I don't care where the game is.
Winnipeg -170 in Montreal tonight. Habs +145, 5.5.
I mean, honestly, I'll take that. You can't. The price is too high on the puck line. I'm going to go for the upset with the Canadians at the Bell Center tonight at that price. This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, he's not going to stop shooting.
Ferrall, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, leftovers. Let's get the rest of these hockey games to start.
Yeah, let's do that. We have Chicago in Tampa tonight against the Lightning. We'll start there. Of course, now you talk about heavy lumber. Minus 420 for the Lightning here, plus 320 for the Hawks, and a 6.5.
I mean, they're not that good, but I'll still puck line it at a goal and a half at minus $1.45. That's not the worst price. I'm not getting involved in, 4.30 and nonsense like that.
Carolina is at the Garden against the Rangers this evening. Carolina favorites on the road. I got it down to minus 135. Rangers plus $1.15 with a 5.5.
I like the way the Rangers are playing. I'm going to take them blue shirts plus $1.22 or better if I can get it at that kind of price. Give me the Rangers at the Garden.
Colorado, of course, won at the Garden on Sunday. Now they are at the Horse Track tonight against the Islanders. Colorado minus $1.35. Isles plus 115 and a 5.5.
I still got to lean Colorado here. I got it at minus $1.35. That price there is at 144. I think they're better. I think they win at the Horse Track.
The Washington Capitals have won 2 of their first 3 out on their Western Canadian trip. Tonight they're in Calgary. Favorites on the road, minus $1.52. Flames plus 126 and a 5.5.
It'll be a tough game, but I'll still go with Washington. And I got it at minus $1.45, a little bit better price than that 152.
Great one tonight in Vegas. You were talking with Adam about it before. The Stars and the Knights on the T-Mobile, minus 125 for Vegas now, plus 105 for Dallas, and a 5.5.
I'll give them this. They won against the Panthers 4-1 on Sunday, but they lost to this Dallas team on Friday. Like I said to Adam, I'm going to take a stab with Dallas again here at that price at plus $1.10. I know Vegas can win this game. They just haven't been playing great. They played great Sunday. That's really the only good game they played in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it really has. And finally, Anaheim is at the Climate Pledge in Seattle against the Kraken this evening. Minus 122 for the Kraken, plus 102 for the Ducks, and a 5.5.
I'll take Seattle at home over the Ducks at that price. It's not that bad.
There you go. That's your night in hockey.
Everybody loves
this
hockey.
Evening. The Pirates are bringing back Adam Frazier on a 1-year deal. That'll excite everyone. Out at
but
PNC.
He was good for the Pirates. I mean, he was an all-star with the Pirates.
I know he was, but he's had a tough couple of years in Kansas City. Back, we'll see if he can reignite it in Pittsburgh. Ellie De La Cruz, Paul Skeens, and Gunnar Henderson are all on the cover of the MLB The Show video game. Skeens is everywhere. You can't help it. Everywhere, Paul Skeens.
Everybody loves video games. These kids play these video games. They don't even go to school. They just want to play video games.
No.
Athletes, players, all the major leaguers sit in their hotel rooms and play video games all night. That's all they do, and drink.
First upset in the TGL last night. Tigers Jupiter Golf Club beat Rory and his Boston Common in overtime. That's right. They had overtime at the TGL. What a scene it was, their first close match. The Simulator Club. A crowd of over 80,000 is expected in Peru tomorrow night to see Messi and Inter Milan in a preseason game against Universitario, wherever they're playing, down there in Peru.
Miami playing some team down in Peru, and everyone's coming to see Messi. Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? And finally, the NCAA moves up the start time for the men's hoops national title game. You know, it's always on that first Monday night in April, usually a 9:20 East tip. Everyone complains about it every year. 8:50, a half an hour earlier. They moved it up for everyone.
I think that was a smart move. Honestly, these games starting at that hour in the East, like people like at halftime go to bed, don't even watch the rest of it. Ferrall finish. Hundreds of Royal Caribbean passengers may have been filmed by a pervert ex-employee with massive amounts of hidden cameras all over the ship, filming everyone doing their dirty. Minnesota man pleads guilty to killing and dismembering 2 women found in different storage units. My man was chopping up bodies, putting them at the storage facility. Convicted child rapist slashed an ex, shoved her on a New York City subway track in front of terrified teen daughters. My man did it in front of his own 2 daughters. Like, I mean, to tell you, you slash her throat and shove her in front of a train. That guy was handling his business, letting his daughters know what'll happen to them if they mess with him. GTD is nice. Get my app. It's badass. Everyone loves it. Just search Ferrall. See you tomorrow at 3 on Coast to Coast.
There's going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, you know I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on